even $500,000. But when you do their financial needs analysis at the end, you find out that they're still actually struggling financially, because if their income stops even for 1 month because they don't have anything saved, they don't have protection, they don't have a proper retirement planning, they're still broke financially. So it's not a matter of how much you make. It's a matter of how much do you actually get to keep and grow. Makes sense? That's the misconception that people have. But think about this. Where do we get our financial education from? If you really think about this, where do we find this education? Who's teaching people how to make and save money? Who is? Is it the educational system? Is it the schools? No, it isn't, because nobody taught me, and my kids are in school right now. They're not learning this stuff in school, right? And if you look at that, map of the United States, there's only few states that are marked in blue, and those are the only states that require just one semester of financial education in their high school, just one semester, right? No, but the rest of the states don't even do that. But definitely schools aren't teaching. Who else? Is it the society? Are we learning financial education from the society? No, I would say definitely not, because if we look at the society, again, keeping up with the Joneses, people are always trying to, compare themselves to their neighbors or their relatives, and they're living beyond their means. They're spending money they don't have because they want to impress the people around them. And that's not the way to do it, right? What about our parents? Did our parents teach us how to deal with money? I know my parents didn't, because my entire life, I watched my parents struggle financially. My entire life. And guess what? They say apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Is that true? That's why at the age of 24, 25, my husband and I were already married. We got ourselves into $250,000 in debt because we wanted to start our own business in optical retail. And, we spent all this money to start a business we had no idea how to run. So here we are, 25 years old and already in such a big hole. And we were struggling financially so bad. Every day in our house, there was arguments, there was fighting, there was, crying. I don't know how many of you have been through financial stress, but it's not pretty. And I think about that and I say, my God, but that's exactly what I saw my parents go through. And that's the reason why I was kind of repeating the same thing with my husband, right? My mom and dad were constantly arguing about money. Growing up as a child, I was always thinking, oh my gosh, is it my fault? Am I costing them too much money? No child should ever feel like that. Is that true? That's the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do, and, the information that we teach people is because I know how it felt growing up in a household like that. And guess what? If you look at majority of divorces happen because of financial stress, because couples just cannot get themselves on the same page when it comes to their money. Most kids end up in a broken home because parents can't get it together. Is that right? And if there's something we could do, why not do it? Why not get ourselves on the right track? Why not end the rat race, right? And say, you know what? That's it. From this point forward, for generations to come, I'm changing my family's history. No more, right? No more broke generations will come from me. And there's a quote like that, which hit really hard for me, it hit home because I read it. It said, if you're born poor, it's not your fault. It's not, right? Because they brought you into a household like that. That's where you were born. But if you die poor, then it is your fault. And I took that personally. I said, no way am I going to die poor and pass that on to my kids and then their kids and so on and so forth. We made a conscious decision to do something about it, right? So definitely, if again, rich parents didn't come, in your house, you have to make sure now you're the rich one and your kids get to say, I was born into a rich household, and they could continue that tradition for their kids and so on. What about the culture? Again, our cultures, it doesn't matter what nationality you are in, what culture you come from. Most cultures, again, they're not teaching how to save. Very few cultures have, instilled that stuff at a very young age in their kids about saving and, building and entrepreneurship and all that stuff. But definitely not my culture. That was not one of the things that they taught me. School teachers definitely, as I mentioned, don't teach it. If they knew how to do it, they wouldn't be broke themselves. They wouldn't be struggling financially. Is that true? We talk about that a lot in our trainings. We say, imagine you go to a business school, you're being taught by a professor or teacher that has never owned a school before, right? So you always have to make sure you understand who are you taking your advice from? Is it somebody that has actually walked the walk? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. What about media? Definitely not, especially social media, right? Again, everybody's just comparing each other. Everybody's posting the life that they wish that they were living, but not actually living. And everybody's just trying to keep up with it. So definitely not the media. So where do we get our financial education from? You have to become proactive and say, it's going to come from me. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to put myself in environments that teach this stuff. And I'm going to make sure that now I continue this and teach the rest of the people around me. That's one of the reasons why I started working with the firm that I'm with right now, because as Angie mentioned, I did work at a bank before this, but I realized early on that banks aren't teaching people how to become financially free. And especially at the firm that I was at, I'm not mentioning any names. I'm not trying to be controversial here. I'm just saying my personal experience, you guys. We used to actually have meetings and trainings, and I became a manager at the branch, and I continued the same tradition that I was taught. We would always tell people, hey, our tellers, our new account reps, if you see somebody that has over 100,000 income, you make sure that they don't leave, that they sit down with the financial rep, because we want to make sure we give them other options. Anybody else, stick them into checking, savings, CD accounts, get them out. So if you look at that, that's what, people say, rich get richer, poor get poorer. Why is that? Because even the majority of financial institutions out there aren't focused on helping the middle class become wealthy. They're only focused on the top, a certain percentage of people that already have the money on how they could protect that and grow it. Why? Because that's where they make the most money. Guess what we used to do at the bank with the individuals that didn't have money, right? Again, checking, savings account that pay no interest whatsoever. But the worst thing was we would offer these precious people more ways on how to get into trouble. And we're the financial institution. We're supposed to help these people. But we would offer them credit cards, loans, things that would get them into more debt. But that was the only way the financial institution was going to make money off of them, right? By late fees, by charging them these crazy interest rates. And you think about that, you're like, oh my God, something's wrong with the system. That's the reason why more and more people are in trouble financially, right? That's the reason why so many people are just statistics, right? And they end up, retiring dead broke, and they pass that debt to the next generation. And the next generation has to, again, start their life struggling. And something was wrong with that. And that's the reason why, I was seeking out for an environment, a platform, that because I understood there's ways, there's tools that people could use to become financially free. Unfortunately, the traditional financial marketplaces weren't offering it. And thank goodness we found the company, the firm that I'm with right now, named World Financial Group. And this company, truly, the company was teaching everyday families basic financial concepts, putting them in the right environment and position where they could actually learn and grow, but at the same time, give them a vehicle where they could actually also make money, right? Because again, great. A lot of people will say, that's awesome, Karine. You want me to save more money, but I'm already in debt and I barely pay my bills. How am I going to save money? Hey, how about if we give you a vehicle and a tool for you to create more money? And then you could start saving more money. Is that true? So definitely this platform gave me both wings. Not only it helped me make money, but also taught me how to save money. And now, paying it forward, doing it for everybody else out there. But today we're only going to talk about the financial concepts. If you're interested in finding out more about the business aspect, talk to the person that invited you. Maybe they could invite you to one of our other seminars that focuses more on the business aspect. Today we're just going to talk about the financial aspects. All right. So take a look at this, some statistical facts. Again, like most people don't plan to fail, right? Nobody grows up saying, I'm going to grow up and, end up dead broke. I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. Everybody wants to be financially free. Everybody wants to be financially free. Everybody wants to have a peaceful life, right? Even if you think money is not important, guess what? If it's causing you stress, if it's causing you anxiety, if it's causing you to have health problems and not have choices, then it is everything, isn't it? Right? So put yourself in a position, because financial freedom gives you power, gives you choices, gives you options. Even if you don't want the money, hey, you could turn around and give it away, but at least you got choices. You have options. Somebody else is not dictating you where you should live, how you should live, when you could take time off, and all that stuff. Makes sense? But take a look at what happens on an average. If you look at this statistic that was done, they took 100 people and asked these 100 people basically where they saw themselves by the time they were at retirement age. Guess what? Every single one of them said, I want to be free. I want to be, millionaire. I want to be successful. And on these 100, again, and 40 years later, they took a look back at the same exact 100 people to see what happened. Out of all these 100 people, how many of them actually made it? And look what happened. By the age of 65, only 96% of the people, so 96% of the 100, right, were dead broke. None of the dreams and goals that they said that they wanted to accomplish were actually done. And only a little bit of, over 3% of the people were, retired comfortably. Only 3%, right? I mean, why is that? Why, and only 1% was financially independent. And you ask yourself, wait a minute, if everybody wanted to be financially free, why only 4% made it? And it again goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is because lack of financial education, not having the right tools and information and the resources for them to put themselves on the right path, right? And having a plan is one of the key aspects. See, the 96% of people that ended up broke is because they had no plan. They just wished they ended up somewhere successful. But without a plan, without goals, without knowing what it is that you want, are you ever going to get there? It's almost as if saying, I'm going to get in a car and, you're just going to start driving, but there's no destination in mind. No matter how long you're driving, you're never going to get there. You're never going to reach that point, right? So same thing with your financial independence. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a target, why do you wake up every day? Why do you go to work? What's your target? What is that aiming point that you're hitting for? If you don't have that, if you don't know what that is, you're never going to hit that number. You're never going to reach that number. You're just going to wake up and repeat the same day, over and over and over again until one day you end up at a retirement age and realize, wow, what happened? Where did my life go? Right? And that's the path that my husband and I were on. Again, creating all kinds of financial stress for ourselves because we had no plan. Coming up with a plan, I think it's one of the best things that we've ever done with ourselves, but having the right plan, right? Having the right person that we sat down with that helped us create a plan. And all we had to do is focus on, again, one day at a time, but working towards that plan, knowing what our daily activities should look like, knowing exactly what we're hitting for. So definitely help that out for sure. So let's go over the 5 key concepts that I promised that I'm going to share with you. And again, listen to these 5 things and internalize them as if I'm just speaking to you. It's just you and I, and we're just talking as 2 friends, right? I don't want anything from you except for you to become more knowledgeable and empowered, for you to take the right steps for your future, because I don't know where you are right now. I don't know what you may be looking for, but I do understand that, human nature, we're all pretty much the same, right? And I do also know that all of us have greatness within us. Somebody just has to help you discover that greatness. Somebody just has to remind you how powerful you are, because unfortunately, life knocks people down so many times that we start dreaming, we start believing, right? That's the worst thing that could happen to a person, is when they stop believing in themselves. They stop hoping for a better future, stop thinking about the possibilities, and they just accept their life where it is. That's the worst thing you could do. No matter how old you are today, right now, if I'm the first person that's telling you this, understand that doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter how old you are, you still have a chance to completely turn everything around and understand that you have greatness within you. You have the potential, the gift that's built within you. Because if you're here, that means a gift and a purpose was assigned to you. And all we have to do in our life is make sure that we live up to those gifts and potentials that were built into us through birth, right? So number 1 thing in you building your wealth and success is you got to know your whys, you guys. You have to know why. Why do you want financial freedom? Why do you want success? Because again, without that, first setback is going to pull you back out and stop you from achieving and moving forward. First setback, right? Because your goals is the fuel, is the the driving force. And money is not a very big motivation. It can't just be about money, because once you reach a certain level of income, you'll stop also. So that's not a big motivating factor, right? Because look at what it says. It's most people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want, right? And that's the truth. So your whys are your greatest motivators, because that's what's going to keep you going. No matter how hard things get, you're going to get up and you're going to still be excited to go after it, right? Whatever challenges we face, my husband and I, in building our business and our, financial security, we were just excited. We were dead broke in the beginning. We had so many things that were going wrong in our life, but we were excited because now we had a possibility. We saw that light. We saw that light at the end of the tunnel, as they call it. And we were just excited to get through the tunnel and get to the light. But we knew why we were doing this. We knew why. We would look at our precious boy. At the time, we only had, when we started, we only had our son. He was only 6 months old when we started this business. We would look at his face and know we wanted to give him the best life possible. I would look at my parents struggling, working, and same with my husband's parents. We would look at them and say, man, we want to retire them. We want to help make sure that they're just traveling the world. We would look at people struggling and say, we want to help. We wanted to help this community. We wanted to help with this nonprofit organization. So we knew our whys, and we would read them every morning. And every night we would remind ourselves what our whys were. And it energized us and gave us the energy to keep moving forward. Right? Because your vision, knowing what you want, is going to create the discipline. Because again, let's be honest, majority of people, and it's in the 90 percentile, you guys, majority of people go to work, go home, eat maybe, turn on the TV and sit in front of the TV. And unfortunately, watch other people live their dreams, because they're, those people maybe, they're watching sports, athletes playing and getting paid millions of dollars, or actors and actresses, singers, whatever it is. These people are living their dreams. And, most people, unfortunately, are sitting on their couch watching that happen. And yet their life is passing them by and they're not making any effort to, move forward. So don't be that person, right? Have a vision that will create the discipline, because, most people say, oh, I'm just too tired. Or, no, you're not tired. You're uninspired. But if you get inspired by reminding yourself why you need to do this, why you need to become successful, guess what? You'll have more energy than you know what to do with, right? You wake me up at 4 a.m. I'm still this excited. I'm still this energized because I'm just excited about life, right? And they say, how you could help the poor? By not becoming one. Why? Because then you could inspire other people. You could help other communities. You could help, again, like I said, charities, churches, whatever it may be. But first and foremost, you got to have your vision for that, because it's freedom that you want. It's the contribution that you want. It's the growth and leadership that you want, because understand this, progress is power. Progress. When you're creating progress, when you feel like you're moving forward, that's when you're happy. Money isn't going to make you happy. It's just going to give you the freedom and the choices. But progress is what's going to create that happiness for you in your life. Most people, again, if you look, they're upset, they're depressed, they're sad. It's because they feel like they're not progressing, right? They're stuck in the same life for the last 40 years of their life, right? Not much progress. And that's the reason why they're not excited. But when your why is clear, you'll figure out the how. Definitely, you'll figure out the how. And it's not just the cliche thing that they say. Trust me, it works, right? So go after the freedom. Go after, having an opportunity to make more contribution into this world, and be in a position where you're in leadership. So now you're developing other people to create the level of success that you've created. So number one key, know your why. So I hope at the end of this call, if you don't already know what your whys are, you'll sit down and spend at least 10 minutes, right? 10, 15 minutes, and just think about, what are my whys? That's an interesting question. Why? And start writing these down and share it with your family. If you have kids, share it with your kids. Let them know. Kids, here are the reasons why we're going to become successful. Let everybody know around you, and trust me, it definitely energizes you to move forward. So let's go to number 2 now. Step number 2, the second key in becoming wealthy and abundant is increasing your cash flow. Understanding that, you can't stay at a stagnant level of income. You have to make sure that you're always growing. And look at this. Wealth rule number one that you always have to remember is never have a ceiling on your income. And I know you're probably sitting there saying, okay, she's crazy. What is she talking about? I have a job and they tell me how much I make. And, the last, I don't know how many years, I haven't even gotten a raise. And I'm lucky even I have a job because so many thousands of people got laid off, right? Every day you find out more and more people are getting laid off because businesses are closed due to COVID and all that. But there are other ways, you guys. There are other options. Yes, if you're working for somebody, of course, there's only so much you could grow. But you have to understand there are service-based, no inventory types of businesses out there, just like the one I started, right, with my husband, and how we have agents all across the United States and actually building in Canada as well, right? We're in 38 different states right now, but we started all alone, right, in California. But I have people in states that I've never even been in, right, because it's a service-based business and it's ran on a system. And I know most people, is this one of those pyramid things? No, there are service-based business that get to, help other people. And you have a network of people that could grow, because think about this. There's only two positions you could be in. You're either working for a builder or you're the builder. What do you think your boss did? Right? That's a pyramid because you can never own that company, but there are other opportunities out there that you could start at the lowest, entry level, but there are opportunities for you to grow, expand, and build. You just have to make sure you find the right vehicle. Thank God we did, right? And again, talk to the person that invited you on this webinar. They could get you on the next one so you could see what I'm talking about. But no inventory business, meaning you don't have to spend money, right? Look at this. My husband and I started our optical business. We spent over $250,000 to start that. Money we didn't have. We had to go borrow, right? Credit cards, loans, mortgage on our parents' house, all this crazy stuff that we had to do to start this business. That's why it's important for you to start a business that has no inventory. So meaning you don't have to start with a high capital, right? For the business that I'm in, all I had to do is pay, like couple $100 to start, for my licensing and to do a background check. And I was set. It's crazy, right? But there are businesses out there because, again, if you don't build your business, somebody else has hired you to build theirs. So you got to ask yourself, what's more important? For me to build somebody else's company, or for me to start opening up and listening and paying attention when there's opportunities that show up? Because I have to make sure that I do not violate wealth rule number 1, which is I cannot have a ceiling on my income. And for the past 10, 15, 20 years, I've had a ceiling. Now I got to, again, make sure that I create a business that could have no ceiling, no limit on, no restriction on the growth and income that I could make. And that's the way to do it, right? So you got to find a system that allows you to build a team and share the profits as you help other people. Makes sense? So it's incredible. I'm in a position right now where I'm in a financial industry. I get to coach people and help them put their financial life in order. And in return, think about this. I help people create wealth. And in return, these investment and insurance companies pay me, right? I don't charge my clients. Investment and insurance companies pay me for creating wealth for families. It's a win-win situation. My clients are happy, I'm happy, and I get to do this by expanding and building other agents all across the nation, and they have the same exact opportunity to do so. So if you're in a service business, right, because where does money come from? Money comes from only one place, through service. Right? You're getting paid because you're providing some kind of a service, right? You're working for the company, you're providing some kind of service, that's why they pay you, right? Restaurants provide a service, they get paid. All kinds of businesses, they provide some kind of a service, and that's the reason that they get paid. It's all based on the value that you bring to the marketplace. The bigger the value, the more you make. If somebody makes little money, it's because they're bringing little value, not because they're less valuable. It's because the position that they're in is bringing, not bringing as much value as somebody that's, let's say, making 3-4 times more than they are, right? So it's just a level of value. Become a valuable person, you get paid more money, right? Help more people, you make more money and be in that position. Get paid on results, not time. Why? Because if you're getting paid on time, we all have 24 hours. Is that right? That already violates wealth rule number 1, which is don't have a ceiling on your income. So if I'm only getting paid on time, and even if I choose to work 24 hours a day, that violates that rule because I have a limit. But guess what? If you get paid on the value that you bring to the marketplace, there's no limit on that, because as many people as you coach and train, right? To become valuable, you create a larger team, you make more money. Makes sense? Think about this for a second. Who makes more money? The attorney or the owner of the law firm? The doctor or the owner of the hospital? The teacher or the owner of the school? What does that mean? So, you working by yourself 24 hours, or you having multiple, an agency that's building multiple agents. Makes sense? It's the same in every single industry. The person with the biggest team is always making the most money. If you look at any successful person right now, if you look at, Amazon, why is Amazon so successful? Because they have a huge team. Why is Starbucks so successful? Why is the owner of Starbucks making so much money? Why? Because he has lots of locations. Right? The only difference in a scenario like that they don't give the same opportunity to their employees. So you got to find a system that gives you the same exact chance of ownership, very, very important. So focus on creating passive income, meaning it's not active income, because if you stop working today, your income stops, you're in trouble, right? Doesn't matter how much money you were making before that. You got to make sure that it's passive income. You're creating a system that generates incomes for you. Very, very important. That's key number 2 in creating wealth and abundance. Key number 3, let's go through that, third one. It's pay yourself first. This is a very, very important key element in you creating success. Pay yourself first. Any wealthy, successful person you study, and, again, you have to make sure you're studying and learning from people that are way more successful than you, right? Because if you're taking advice from people that are in the same level than you, then you're not growing. The best thing somebody ever told me is, Karine, never take advice from people that are more messed up than you. So my husband and I made a rule. We're only going to take advice from people and listen to people that are more successful, that are where we want to be. And we're actually willing to trade places with, right? Because they got the lifestyle that we want. They got the family life that we want. They got the income and business life that we want. If not, why would I listen to somebody that's dead broke, that's not living the life that I want? Make sense? So if you study successful people, this is the first advice that they tell you. Pay yourself first. What does that mean? It's the most important bill that you will pay is the one that you put aside to your savings. Because most people are in this situation. They say, when I have money, I'll save money. Well, that kind of contradicts itself, because you'll never have money unless you start saving money. Is that true? And they wait to, pay everything. And then at the end, if there's anything left, they save. And the majority of time, there's nothing left. So if you pay yourself first, guess what? Somehow, some way, the rest of the stuff end up working out. So you may spend a little bit less on, maybe going out or this and that. But guess what? You put some money aside for your future, for your, again, peace of mind, for your freedom. That's more important, right? Doesn't mean you don't live your life and you don't enjoy, but you make this a priority. Whatever's left after, that's what you spend. Make sense? Because look at those circles. If so the poor formula or the rich formula, the poor, they just think about spending, spend, and then what's left, I'll save. Versus somebody that's rich and wealthy, it doesn't happen by luck, right? Doesn't just happen by chance. It's because what do? They save first and then spend what's left after they save. Make sense? Look at this. So Warren Buffett, the most wealthy investor in the world, right? Billionaire, gave this advice. Don't save what's left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. Very important. My husband and I, again, as bad as our financial situation was when we started with this firm, our trainer, our business coach sat down with us and said, you guys have to start saving. You got to have to put some money aside. We're like, maybe you don't know, but we're like negative. We're below negative. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the amount. You got to create the habit. And I was like, I was one of those people that always felt like I have to start with a big amount. So I was always procrastinating, right? My son was already 6 months old and I was still procrastinating, saying, I'll start saving for him. And unfortunately, that day was just never coming, right? So when she said that, she said, it doesn't matter the amount. What matters is you creating the habit. And it just clicked. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So as little as we could put aside, we canceled our cable bill, I remember, right? Just to put some money aside, because that wasn't making me any money. That was costing me money. And we started saving, and all of a sudden, 6 months later, we're saving more. A year later, we're saving more. And since then, we've just increased and increased and increased. Where right now, when I look at the amount of money that we're saving is more than what people are making in a year even. right? Where did that all start? With the little amount, with creating that habit of paying myself first, because we got to think of ourselves as more important than anything else. Makes sense? So 15% of your income has to be the minimum that you have as a goal, right? As a target of you putting aside every single month. If you can't, because your financial situation isn't allowing you to, then again, you got to look at the second key that I talked about, making sure you position yourself in a situation where you could increase your cash flow so you now are able to save minimum 15%. And of course, you should increase that number as you make more money. You got to know your PIN number. No, that's not a typo. It doesn't. I don't want to know your PIN number, not your ATM PIN number. I meant your PIN number. What does that stand for? PIN number stands for your financial independence number. You got to know what that number is. And you can't just guess that number. You have to have a financial professional, a licensed financial professional, to sit down with you and do a complete financial needs analysis. Right? Ask yourself, when was the last time you got your financial house in order? When was the last time you got your finances checked up? Right? We get our health checked every year. We get our, teeth checked every 6 months or so. We get our cars checked. When was the last time you checked your health? Your wealth. It's such an important key aspect, isn't it? Because the wealth is what's going to pay for all the other stuff that you have going on in your life, right? Absolutely. So if you sit down and, again, have a licensed professional do a financial needs analysis, you'll be able to look at what your expenses are, what your liabilities are, and what is your financial, goal. And that put a PIN number together to say, okay, for you to have the financial freedom that you choose, because everybody is different. It's not one size fits all kind of a thing. For you, this is the target that you got to hit. So then you understand your savings have to get to a certain level for you to reach that financial independence at whatever age that it is that you want. Make sense? When you ask most people, when do you want to retire? If they say it like it's a joke, they say, oh, yesterday. It's awesome, but you have a plan, right? Because you want to have that freedom as soon as possible, but you have a plan. Do you know what that number is? Do you know what your financial freedom number is? And most people, unfortunately, do not. So if you don't do anything else out of what I'm sharing with you today, set up a time, come back, see one of our licensed professionals, just to have a complimentary, no strings attached. I promise you, this is not a gimmick. I would never, ever put myself in a position like that. Sit down with a financial professional, have them do your checkup, complimentary with no strings attached. So at least you know what your PIN number is and you have at least a target that you're working towards, okay? Understand the power of compound interest. You have to understand things like rule of 72, how does interest compound and all that stuff. I don't have the time to go over it in detail with you right now, but I promise you, when you sit down to do your financial needs analysis, they'll be able to help you out and help teach you these key components of simple things like compound interest and how long it takes for your money to double. Because compounding interest could work for you if you're saving, or against you if you're in debt. You got to know these rules. You also have to understand growth and risk, right? Most people want the growth, but they don't want the risk. And there are products and services out there, you guys, that you could position yourself where it gives you growth potential without the risk, that gives you guarantees. Makes sense? So you could grow, but you could never lose, because you saw what happened with the stock market. In the last few months, up and down, right? People are losing their 401k money, their retirement nest egg that they've saved for most of their life, getting ready to retire. Now they're losing that money. So you can't gamble when it comes to money. So you got to position yourself in the right products and services that, again, gives you the growth potential without the risk. Makes sense? Because you should never put yourself in a position where you could lose money. And also tax advantages. So many people save money, and as I mentioned, majority of people save their money in their 401ks, but they don't understand the fact that when they retire, a lot of that money that's being saved in the 401k, yes, they may not be paying taxes right now on them, but when they retire and start taking money out, they're actually going to have to pay taxes at a time where they're no longer making money and no longer adding to the pot. Chunk of money is going to be taken away from them because it's going to go to taxes. So understand what are the tax now accounts? What are the tax later accounts? And what are the tax advantage accounts through actual IRS codes and rules that, gives you tax-free growth. There are things like that. Yes, legal ways that you could position yourself in tax advantage accounts where, you could grow the funds and avoid the taxes legally. Okay. Just because you don't know, don't be one of those people that automatically become skeptical and say, that's too good to be true. That's what I used to think. But guess what? I've been, investing and saving money in products like that for over 16 years now. And all I've seen is growth and, massive, massive amounts of returns. All right. But make sure, again, educate yourself. It's not one size fits all, but there are many options out there that you have to be aware about. All right. Let's move forward to number 4. All right. What's the 4th step? Risk management. This is so important, you guys. You got to make sure that you manage your risk, right? Tie up all your what ifs. Make sure that you have protection on your life, on your health, on your responsibilities, right? Like life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care, and all these things that protect you in the long run are so important because those are all your what ifs. Think about this for a second. Again, most of us have health insurance, right? Because they made it mandatory. But you don't buy health insurance because you want to get sick. You buy it in case of what if, right? What if I get sick? Do I want to get stuck with all those bills? No, I want my insurance company to cover it for me. And you're managing your risk. So you're not at risk as much. Is that true? You don't buy car insurance because you want to get into a car accident. You buy it in case something happens. You're transferring the risk from you having to pay for all those liabilities to the insurance company. So same thing with your life, right? You got to transfer the risk because you have the most responsibility out of everything, right? If you're the breadwinner, especially in the household, you have a huge responsibility to make sure that you cover your what ifs and the risk that it could potentially cause and, bring to the family if something was to happen to you. Let me ask you a question. This is a funny way in putting it into perspective, but think about this. What if I tell you this? You had this magical toaster in your home, right? A toaster, yes. And every month, this toaster was popping out $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 every single month, right? Depending on the size of your toaster. Would you spend a few dollars to protect that toaster so in case it broke, that you could fix it and it could continue to bring that $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to you, to your household? The answer is, of course, right? Because already we buy insurance on our phones, we buy insurance on our TVs in case it breaks. But I'm talking about this toaster that generates that income for you. You would definitely protect it before anything else. Is that right? We're that toaster. Makes sense? We're that toaster. Whatever income you're making currently is what's bringing that money. You're popping out that money every month to your household. So you got to spend a few dollars a day to make sure that you're protected. So in case you're unable to work, that income will still continue to come into your household and your family will not be without that income and be in trouble, right? Most families today, it's sad as it is, they're 1 or 2 paychecks away from being completely financially in a disastrous situation. They don't even have 2 months of, their income saved up. Make sense? So it's extremely important, you guys. So ensuring your future and your family's future with, as I mentioned, living benefits. You got to understand what living benefits are because most people don't know what those are, right? We're very familiar with death benefits, life insurance. Automatically we think, okay, you die, the life insurance company pays. That was in the past. Now the new modern life insurance is actually come with living benefits. So they protect you while you're still alive because insurance companies and, again, we realize that before a person passes away, they could experience health challenges that, enables them from working, but they're still alive, meaning the death benefit's not going to pay, but they're not able to work and they're in trouble financially. So living benefits in case of, again, a health challenge will be able to pay your family even though you're still alive, right? Because it comes with long-term care, again, a chronic, critical, terminal illness riders and all that stuff that could protect you altogether. So it's absolutely amazing. You could have like one policy, one product that covers all that stuff, right? Crazy. With one product. There are products out there like that. Because if you look at statistics, 60% of Americans are completely underinsured. They have some kind of a policy. It either comes with no living benefits or it's not enough, right? Based on their lifestyle and their liability and responsibility, it's not enough for their household. So you got to revisit that stuff and make sure that you, again, talk to a financial professional. And 40% of families have completely left their house and kids completely unprotected. Completely unprotected. That hurts my heart because I understand, like, if they're struggling right now with the income that's coming into the household, right? Most houses have either one or two incomes coming in, and as it is, they're struggling. Imagine when one of those incomes stops. What happens to that family? What happens? Disaster, isn't it? Right? Complete disaster. Most kids are left completely unprotected. And this is not something for everybody. Obviously, people that protect themselves love their families. They understand, my God, it's my responsibility. How do I live their life on a gamble, right? Hey, just pray that nothing happens to me, because if it does, I don't know what's going to happen. No way. It's my responsibility, right? My death is my responsibility. My, mortgage is my responsibility. My kids' future is my responsibility. I got to spend a few dollars a day to make sure that I protect it. So whether I'm here, I'm healthy or not, that stuff is taken care of. Guess what? That brings more peace of mind, to our household than anything else, because I understand no matter what, the people that I love the most are protected. Make sense? Very, very important. Look at this. Being financially prepared. Picture this. Imagine the income that you're making today, right? That circle, imagine it's you, and whatever income you're making today is what's in that circle, right? I don't know how much you're making, but whatever it is, all right? There's 4 different things that could happen in your life that could stop that income. 4 different events. Loss of job, right? Or a business. Income stops. Is that true? Right away, if you're working for somebody else, you have no control over how long they'll keep you or how long they'll choose to pay you. Is that right? Look at all these people, as I said, that are losing their jobs or have these small businesses that are completely closing down because, again, they were self-employed. It didn't have a system. It didn't have an opportunity for them to grow and expand. It's not based on distribution. So what do you have to do to take care of that? For you to be financially prepared, you have to make sure that you're in a position that you have passive income. So put yourself in a business, in a position where, yes, you work a few years, you create, generational passive income. So even after, if something happens, even if you're gone, your income will still continue to come to your family, right? Residual passive income. If you've never heard of it, again, please make sure you ask and you educate yourself on this stuff. What's the second reason? Second reason your cash flow could stop is because, you hit retirement age. Even if you don't want to retire, most companies will force retire you. Is that right? But if you don't have enough savings saved up for retirement, also create some kind of a financial hardship. Is that right? So as you're now working, as you're bringing money into the household, you got to make sure you're putting money aside for that retirement, right? You're in a proper product that, again, has growth potential, but no loss, gives you upside of the market, but no downside. It's like almost having your money on an elevator with no down button. It could only go up. It's awesome, isn't it? Right? And also making sure that you have some tax advantages, especially when it comes to retirement. Every penny counts. All right. Next, your income could also stop in case of some kind of a critical illness or disability. Is that true? 75% of people by the time they reach age 65 are going to have some kind of a disability or long-term care challenge, right? As far as their health is concerned. So you have to make sure that you have living benefits products that protect you in case of that. All right. So that cash flow that's coming in will continue because you've protected yourself. You protected the toaster. All right. What about the last reason why income can stop? Again, loss of life. Right? As sad as that is, I don't want to depress you, but that is one of the reasons. And it's not like maybe it will happen, maybe it will not. We're all going to, live this planet someday. We just don't know when. But it's important for us to have the protection. So in case, again, it happens too soon and we haven't taken care of our responsibilities, our mortgage and all that stuff, we have enough insurance protection that we could leave a legacy to our children and our family and our loved ones, right? Because that's why they say when rich people die, they leave a will. But when poor people die, they leave a bill, right? They leave bills to their kids. Don't be one of those people. I don't know about you, but I want to leave a legacy. I want to make sure that when my husband and I are gone, our children get to live on this legacy and continue on and so on and so forth. But these are the 4 reasons why your income can stop. And you have to make sure that you're in the right position financially. You're prepared financially to make sure that no matter which one happens, at what point, you are protected and you're prepared. And guess what? I hope you're not confused and thinking, oh my gosh, she just gave me a headache because there's so many things I got to think about. Honestly, again, as I mentioned, there are products out there that could have like combo policies, combo products that literally have all, most of these in one package. So you don't have to worry too much about, oh my gosh, I have so many things that I have to take care of. But it takes a licensed professional to help you to do that. Okay, let's move forward. This is, again, very, very important. Last but not least, in order for you to be on the right track of wealth and abundance and prosperity and growth, you got to have supportive environments. You have to have people around you that support you, that help you, that guide you, that coach you. And unfortunately, there are a lot of coaches out there that haven't even succeeded themselves. So you have to be very careful when you're choosing the right mentors for you, right? You have to make sure it's somebody that has already, succeeded some level of success before you take advice from these people, as I mentioned earlier. You got to stay aligned with a mentor, and I call it MBS, having that mind borrowing system, right? Having somebody that you could listen to that has already, reached the level that you want to reach. It's almost as if you could interview your future, right? I always tell people this. I say, listen, whatever career path you want to choose, whatever, decisions that you want to make as far as your career and wealth is concerned, go find somebody that's been doing it for, 20, 30 years. Ask them if they're happy, if this is everything that they thought it would be, if they're making the kind of money that they thought that they would be making. Ask them, interview your future, and then instead wait 30 years and figure it out. Make sense? So definitely find somebody that's in a position that you want to be and go ask them, go interview them, figure out how they did it. Learn from those that are already where you want to be, as I mentioned. I love this quote. It says, when setting out on a journey, don't seek advice from those that have never left home. Unfortunately, many people are very quick to give you advice, tell you what to do or what not to do, but advice is free, right? But it could cost you a lot. It could cost you a lot because if you take the wrong advice, it could literally have such an impact on your future and your life. And unfortunately, the world is filled with negative people that are very quick to tell you what you can't do and what can't happen and that you should just settle and not be greedy, right? They just want you to stay the same because they want to be comfortable around you. They want to feel comfortable around you because if you're more successful than them, that kind of makes people uncomfortable, doesn't it? Right? But you gotta choose who you open your ears to and your mind to. Very, very important, you guys. It's crucial because yes, the world could be negative, but as long as you know what you want and you're aligned with the right mentor and trainer, and thank goodness the company again that I'm with has brought some of the most influential people in the world today that have coached us, guided us, and mentored us. And we're in a position that we are today, mainly because of the trainings and mentorship that we got. But most people don't have a mentor in their life, right? They're just listening to whoever is talking. But pick your mentors very wisely. Associate with those that make you feel uncomfortable, that stretch you, that push you forward, and not try to tell you to stay the same. Because whatever you do, don't stay the same. Grow, expand, understand that you have the power. If you take the responsibility in your hands and you're aligned with people that are willing to coach you, man, the world is yours. There's no such thing that you can't accomplish if you put your mind to it. If you truly put your mind to it and you have the discipline and the work ethic to back it up. Because most people wish their life was better, but unfortunately, they're not making any changes. So if I stayed with my same habits, my same beliefs, my same thought process, the same exact things that we were doing 16 years ago, guess what? Where would our life be today? It would be a mess. Is that true? we would not be where we are today. We would not be in a position where we are today. We would not be influential. We wouldn't even be able to influence ourselves, let alone other people. So staying the same is not an option. Change something in order for your results to change. And as I mentioned earlier, it's possible. It's completely possible. So let's take a look at, and lastly, I don't want to miss this one. This is awesome. It says, even if I knew that tomorrow the world would come to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree today. Most people, because of COVID and all the other stuff that's happening in the world, are on pause mode. It's almost they're waiting for things to either go back the way they used to be, or for some, I don't know what they're waiting for, but most people are just waiting. And I look at that and I say, you can't be waiting, because waiting is the enemy of growth. Who says things are ever going to go back to the way it used to be? But all I believe is, because I choose to look at a positive, that say, you know what? I don't want to go back to the old ways, because I know that we could get better from this. I'm not happy that Corona happened. I'm not happy about all the disasters that happen in the world. But guess what? It already happened. There's nothing we could do. So moping and crying and becoming victims isn't going to help us. But what's going to help us is understand that we can make something from this. I think there are more opportunities today for people to grow and expand and become successful than ever before. Our company grew more in the time of COVID than in the past. Makes sense? We've expanded more because of COVID than before. Why? Because now we're doing everything virtually. Before, for you to hear this training, you would have to drive to our office, right? And majority of you are coming from other states now. You wouldn't even be able to do that. But right now you could be sitting, you're probably sitting at the comfort of your own home and listening to this information. So our reach is so much bigger. We're able to impact more people because this has given us an opportunity to do so. So grow from this and know that, man, I don't want to go back. I want to grow and become better because of this, and be prepared, because what happens outside of us, we don't have control over. So we don't know if there'll be other pandemics, other disasters, market crashes. But what we have control over is how prepared we are and the way we've positioned ourselves for us to face these things, right? Repair, prepare kind of a situation. But as I mentioned, these are the 5 key elements. So know your why. Sit down and write it down as a family. Again, you have, if not, do it alone. Doesn't matter, right? Put yourself in a position where you can make more money and not have a ceiling on your money. Pay yourself first, no matter how small you start. Create the habit. Because if you don't, guess what? You'll never reach any success financially, because you'll end up constantly making more and spending more, making more and spending more. So it's extremely important for you to start putting some value on you. I think you're the most valuable person, right? So pay yourself first. Put some value on that. Have risk management where you covered all your what ifs, and you could put your head on a pillow at night and sleep with the peace of mind that no matter what life brings, you're prepared, you're covered, you're good, right? You don't have to be scared. And build supportive environments where people constantly show you the greatness that you have within you. They believe in you, they support you, they motivate you to move forward. But even if you don't have anybody like that in your life right now, you have to be the greatest cheerleader for yourself. Change the story that you tell yourself in your mind, because if the whole world is putting you down, don't you dare put yourself down as well. Be your number one supporter. And guess what? Like attracts like, right? What you focus on expands. All of a sudden, you're attracting like-minded people. All of a sudden, you're attracting the business that you're looking for. All of a sudden, you're attracting the people that, want to mentor you and coach you, right? Nothing happens by coincidence, but you got to make sure that that's your focus. If the focus is problem, focus is debt, focus is, all the negativity, you're bringing more of that into your life. But if the focus is abundance, is wealth, success, opportunity, all that stuff is going to align and come to you. I'm speaking from experience. There's nothing more powerful than having that peace of mind and freedom, you guys. I remember those days that I would sleep crying because I was so scared of what's going to happen tomorrow. I was afraid of opening my own mail. I was afraid of picking up the phone because it was all these debt collectors or people asking for their money because we're struggling. I remember looking at my little kid, in his bed and saying, what am I creating for him? what am I doing? What kind of life am I giving him, right? And not knowing what I'm going to do. And my husband and I constantly at each other. God knows if we'd still be together if it wasn't for us to put our life, in order financially. Because once that was taken care of, man, we just created a peaceful environment. Now we have a household where our kids don't understand, what the definition of can't is. They know that whatever they put their mind to, they can accomplish. They can and they will, right? So instead of us teaching, the people around us to go live their dreams, I think it's important for us to live our dreams and be that beacon of light and hope for the rest of the society and people. So I hope you took something out of this. If nothing else, again, just make sure that you know that there is a chance and a hope for you. It's never too late, but find your passion and go after it, right? Make it happen. It was my honor and privilege to serve you today. And I look forward to seeing you again, maybe at a different webinar, but definitely reach out to the person. If nothing else, just thank them for thinking of you and inviting you to be part of this. And sit down with somebody, do your financial needs analysis, ask questions, find out what's more out there. Even if not through us, through somebody else, do it. Just do it. Thank you so much. Appreciate and love you all. God bless you. Bye-bye.